Hello, you're watching Thursday edition of News Mongolia. Today is September 1st. For our top stories, the 2022 to 2023 academic year started on September 1st. Opportunities and challenges face Mongolians with foreign degrees. Oil refinery water reservoir construction nears completion. For other news, stay tuned. All Mongolian universities, secondary and primary schools and kindergartens have started the new academic year. Summer vacation has ended and classes officially started for all schools today. Our reporter went to the opening ceremony for the new school year at school number 22 in Ulaanbaatar.
In the past 2 years, the start of the new academic year has not been celebrated in a traditional way due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But this year, schools celebrated with traditional opening ceremonies. Schools have hung up portraits of the great Chinggis Khan, following an order from the president of Mongolia, Khurelsukh, issued during the National Nadan Festival as a way to respect Mongolian history. Currently, there are about 2,500 educational institutions operating in Mongolia.
I've been working as a teacher for 32 years. I've been the homeroom teacher for 6 classes that have graduated, and this year I'm receiving my 7th class. I love this profession. Parents are very involved in the opening ceremony for this academic year. Children coming from kindergarten know how to hold a pen and listen well to what their teachers tell them. It makes things very easy for teachers. The first 60 hours of preparatory classes will be held in the first quarter. The first quarter ends in December. Until then, my students will learn about the 5 types of consonants, and in the spring we will finish learning all the letters, and then we'll hold our academic festival in May.
According to census data, 712,000 children started school in 2021, and that number reached 750,000 in 2022. Every year, enrollment numbers have increased by about 40,000.
My name is Michelle Arumbolt. I'm going to start 1st grade. I had many friends in kindergarten. I hope to have many new friends and teachers. I want to be an architect. I'm looking forward to learning how to count and to learn the alphabet. I like to dance. I want to congratulate all of the students and teachers on the opening ceremony for the new school year. My name is Sandar. I think there must be a lot more discipline and lessons in school than in kindergarten. I learned many songs and dances when I was in kindergarten.
My name is Bilgun. I learned to sing and draw in kindergarten. I'm happy to be going to school, and I think I'll go to school and have many friends. I want to become a police officer when I grow up. I think it's a good job.
In the 2022-2023 academic year, 78,000 children are enrolled in 1st grade. Children enrolled in public schools were assigned schools according to their residential areas. Free school lunches are being provided to children in grades 1 through 5, and all schools are employing children's psychologists to help young children cope with stress.
Since 2011, more than 2,000 Mongolian citizens have received bachelor's and master's degrees from foreign universities. Although they have a sincere desire to contribute to the country's development, there are many cases of such graduates going abroad because of the challenges in finding suitable employment in Mongolia. Let's take a look at the following report.
Bilgun graduated in 2008 and returned to Mongolia in April 2009. I thought that when I came back to Mongolia, I would have a good career working on big projects for big international organizations. Unfortunately, at that time, I noticed that the company owners and their managing directors had some communication issues. He said that of the 20 students he graduated with in Germany, only 3 of them currently live in Mongolia. Bilgun has 4 years of experience working in the public sector. It was interesting. My first salary was 600,000 MNT. When I became chief of staff, my salary increased to only 800,000 MNT. My friends who started working in the private sector brought great ideas with them, but personally, I think that the infrastructure of private sector companies is poorly developed. Many critics say that the Mongolian educational system doesn't guarantee success. A lack of understanding from Mongolian companies and government pressure are cited as the main reasons for Mongolian graduates of foreign universities choosing to live abroad. The high cost of quality childhood education is also a deterrent to stay in Mongolia. We also spoke to Dolma, a graduate of a French university.
Culture and company policies in Mongolia and abroad are very different. It starts with job requirements. When you apply for a new position, most companies won't reply to your online application.
Institute analysts say there is also a lack of teamwork culture in Mongolia. Dolma hopes to introduce the best international practices in human resource management for domestic enterprises to compete at the global level. Young people who have returned to Mongolia have raised concerns about issues such as corruption, bureaucracy, and an unclear legal environment. But there are opportunities for graduates to work in Mongolia's public sector. After graduation, of course, I decided to live in Mongolia. The market abroad is saturated, but you can live well. That's not the case here, but in the long run, we feel like we are creating our own wealth here.
People in Mongolia are bad at cooperation. Each company has its own problems. We try to solve them, but if we do things together, there is a chance to move the country toward development in that area.
According to a study conducted by the Ulaanbaatar Youth Development Office, 54% of graduates with foreign degrees work in the private sector, 30% work for government organizations, and a few work for startup businesses. Experts say support and incentives are needed to integrate them into the Mongolian workforce and to use their knowledge to advance the country's development.
The construction of a water reservoir for Mongolia is nearing completion. As of today, more than 70% of the oil refineries' non-technical facilities have been built.
The oil refinery's construction work is being carried out in 4 phases. The first phase includes the construction of non-technical facilities, including 9 staff buildings, infrastructure, roads, and water supply system engineering. The first phase of construction is scheduled to be completed this year. Concrete work for the refinery's 30,000 cubic meter water reservoir, a critical piece of infrastructure, is now complete.
We are conducting our work according to the plan. The first phase of construction is the most important part of the construction work that lays the ground of rest of the workflow. The general contractor, Indian company JMC Projects India, started the construction on January 2021.
The construction of 30,000 cubic meter closed water reservoir is being conducted with Indian contracted companies' engineers. The reservoir, with 125 meter length, 75 meter wide, and 4.5 meter height, with 714 columns, will collect and store water from Borkhur Gobi for the operation of the oil refinery.
The second phase of construction includes a primary technology plant and auxiliary facilities, while the third phase will cover engineering, procurement, and construction of a 35 megawatt power plant. It was reported that the selection of general contractors of these construction projects is well underway.
Around 20 contracted companies from Mongolia are engaged in the construction process. 1,200 tons of reinforcement steels and over 9,000 cubic meters of concrete were used during the construction of water reservoir. Now isolation and insulation materials are being laid and we will cover the reservoir with 2 meters thick soil.
At the beginning of the year, contracts were signed with the license holders of 7 patented technical facilities. The refinery's main facilities will utilize US, French, Italian, and Dutch technology. The general design and engineering documents submitted by the contracted companies are being reviewed by the company overseeing the project's implementation. It was also reported that the construction of the residential facilities and the refinery's crude oil pipeline is underway.
Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Here comes the international news from our partner agencies. Today is the 1st of September and the start of academic year in many countries. Our next report comes from the United States. 5 of the 19 students in teacher Chelsea Grant's 3rd grade classroom are reading below grade level. When it's time to read aloud, the students show vastly different levels of skills and confidence. The professionals think it's linked to the COVID-19 caused quarantine and lockdowns.
Grant students, my babies as she calls them, spent the better part of the 2020 and 21 school year learning from home. It was first grade, a crucial year for learning to read.
I think we have prepared our kids great. Like, especially my babies, I really feel that they're prepared. And if we're not there, we're going to get there for sure. Because of the, like I said, because of the support, the co-teaching model that we have here, the district incentives for the kids that need that gap, to close some of those gaps. I'm confident in our work, definitely.
Many are still far behind. Mounting evidence from around the country shows that students who spent more time learning remotely during the 2020 and 2021 school year, many of them Black and Latino, lost about half of an academic year of learning. That's twice as much as their peers who studied in person that year. Third graders are at a particularly delicate moment. This is the year when they must master reading or risk school failure. Everything after third grade will require reading comprehension to learn math, social studies, and science. Students who don't read fluently by the end of third grade are more likely to struggle in the future and even drop out, studies show.
I am grateful that all is well as it is, right? Our students are thriving. I'm grateful to be able to say that. And I think that is because we have great teachers who consider it a priority to partner with parents, because we can't leave them out of the equation, and that partnership looks different for every parent, because every parent is doing the best that they can.
Grant's third graders may have a better chance than children in other cities to make up for that lost learning. Atlanta was one of the only districts to extend the school day as a response to the pandemic. Elementary school students attend 7 hours of school, half an hour more than before the pandemic. Evidence from around the country shows that even when schools provide some of these services, such as optional after-school tutoring or summer school, many parents aren't using them.
It's been almost 7 months since the war in Ukraine started. Students who last saw the rubble of the classrooms on February 24th at the start of the Russian invasion returned to the remains of their bombed school. They received textbooks and were instructed on how to use a bomb shelter ahead of this week's academic year in war-torn Ukraine. The pupils were shocked to see the damage to their school. They visited a destroyed room where they used to study computer technology before the war. During their visit, their teacher, Olena Serduk, instructed students on how to use the shelter in case they return to face-to-face education.
This is all for the first time. We have never experienced anything like this. Therefore, there are no right or wrong actions. It's like learning to swim and being thrown into the sea. And you swim because you have to survive. I want to give as much as possible to the children because the war stole a lot from them and they have to get an education.
For the first month, the children will study remotely due to the fact that their lyceum is located 35 kilometers from the border with Belarus. Therefore, according to the management of the institution, it's dangerous for children to be at school. On March 4th, a Russian rocket hit the lyceum and destroyed one part of it. The director said, the village was occupied by the Russian Federation for about a month. Now let's take a look at our regular feature on sports. Serena Williams showed she has no intention of ending her singles career without a fight after beating second seed Anett Kontaveit on another remarkable night at the US Open.
Serena Williams, ranked 413th and turning 41 next month, won 7-6, 2-6 and 6-2 to stand the Estonian in New York City. The American recently announced her intention to retire after her home major and is now into the third round. Williams will play Australia's Ayla Tomljanovic next on Friday. A few weeks ago, Williams announced she was evolving away from playing in an essay for fashion magazine Vogue, but agreed after beating Montenegro's Danka Kovinic on Monday. She had been vague about her exact timeline. "There is no rush here," she left. "There is still a little left in me." While lacking some of the pomp and ceremony from her opening match on Monday, this was another special atmosphere as 23-time major singles champion Williams looked to extend her storied career by at least another round. Williams moving well and hitting cleanly wowed an adored home crowd on the cavernous Arthur Ashe Stadium by winning a tense opening set. The former long-time world number one suffered a dip of energy from the start of the second set as Kontaveit leveled, but she recovered to win a dramatic decider. In the end, Williams handled the occasion better than her 26-year-old opponent, who looked emotional before the final game as she hid under her towel and secured a victory which left many in exultant crowd jumping to their feet to celebrate. "I'm a pretty good player, this is what I do best. I love a challenge and I'm rising to the challenge," added the 6-time US Open champion.
Erling Haaland scored his second hat-trick in as many games as rampant Manchester City outclassed newly promoted Nottingham Forest.
Erling Haaland is taking English soccer by storm. Back-to-back hat-tricks, 9 goals in 5 games. No player has ever made as good a start to the Premier League as the towering Norwich striker. Haaland's latest 3-goal haul came in the first half of City's 6-0 thrashing of the Nottingham Forest on Tuesday, 3 days after achieving the same feat in the second half against Crystal Palace. City was banking on Haaland being the heir to longtime striker Sergio Aguero, and it's already looking as if this is the case. Aguero previously held the record for most goals in a player's first 5 Premier League appearances, with 8 along with former Coventry striker McQueen. Haaland has battered that, and surely more scoring records will fall if he continues like this.
What he has done in Norway, in Austria and Germany, he has tried to do it here. So, incredible sense. He didn't touch one ball before the first goal. The first ball contact, the score goal. So, his talent, we knew it, and today we saw Julian as well. So we have an incredible 2 strikers, incredible sense of smell, of talent to score goals. I think what we want is win the titles, and this is my feeling. I think what he wants. If the records and the goals helps to win, will be perfect. But knowing a little bit him, because you say it's 1 month and a half we are together, I don't know if he'll be happy to break the records if we don't win titles. So I think he want to be part of that. And I said very firm, as much we play better, as much we play good, he will have more chances to score goals.
City is the red-hot favourite to win the Premier League again, with Haaland leading the line and is unbeaten with 4 wins from 5 games. Even its backup striker is scoring, with Julian Alvarez, on the season arrival from River Plate, marking his first start with 2 goals in the second half. Joao Cancelo has also scored with a blast from outside the box.
Here comes the weather forecast for the world's major cities. That's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with more news updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.